I'm Justin Mott, and welcome to my home in Hanoi, Vietnam. And if you're new here, my channel is dedicated to all things photography from the perspective of a full-time working professional photographer. And welcome to my new series, Celebrity Photography Critique, where I introduce you to a celebrity photographer's work. We break it down, I offer them some unsolicited advice, and we have some fun, and I try to offer some tips along the way. So today we're going to talk about the photography of Brooklyn Beckham. So let's dive into this young man's work. Alright guys, just something very quick. I just launched my brand new membership program. For anyone interested, you can hit the join button. Don't just hit it, you should probably know what it is before you just start paying me money. So I've just launched this program. It's $4.99 a month, and I've got exclusive content for the members only, so you're going to have weekly live streams on there. I'm also going to have extra bonus BTS, and you'll get priority in the comments section, and you also have free access to my monthly photography assignment/contest with free prizes at the end of the year. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, or if you're not and you just want to support the channel, you can do that by hitting the join button, and it's $4.99 a month. Okay, just a little background on how this series works, because when I critique Jeff Bridges' work, even though I had like amazing things to say about his work, people got mad like, who are you to critique his work? Well, I'm me. This is my channel. This is what I do. So if you don't want to see me critiquing people's work, then just don't come here. And I'm not saying I'm the ultimate say. I'm not. I'm not even saying I'm right. These are just my opinions as a pro. You can kind of take them or leave them. But this is also not meant to be like clickbait. When I review these photographers' work, I review them as if they were one of my students. So that's kind of the format here. I basically critique them as if they were one of my students. I offer them some advice, tell them what I think they're doing well, what I think they can improve on, and I introduce you to their work as well. All right, so a little background about this kid. When I say kid, he's a man now, he's 23, but he started his career quite young. He said his dad gave him a camera when he was 15. He had his first Burberry campaign at age 16, which is like, any fashion photographer would dream to have that, maybe ever. And then by 18 years old, he had a photo book published with 300 of his images, and that was published by Penguin Random House, one of the biggest publishers in the world. So I understand the backlash. People are jealous. Photographers are especially jealous. Other people, he doesn't deserve this, nepotism, all that. I'm not here to talk about that. That's fine. That's the way the world works. I understand that. That's how it goes. But I'm just going to talk about his work, and he quit photography probably because of all this backlash. I don't know. People are quite harsh on him, so that's kind of why I chose him to do this episode today, because I think as pros or just as an industry or as a community, we can be quite harsh on each other. We can be mean, and then when people put their work out there in public, whether it be like him in a gigantic way like this, but even smaller, like on Facebook or in groups or photo communities and things like that, people could be mean, and I'm just not into that. If this kid ever wants to come back to the photography community, I personally would accept him. I mean, I think more eyes on photography, more appreciation for photography is all good to me. So, maybe one day he'll get back into it. Maybe he's scared off by all these comments. Don't be intimidated by the jerks. There's a lot of better photographers out there. There's a lot of photographers that people say he doesn't deserve a book. I know a lot of photographers out there that are pros, have been doing it for a long time, publish their own books, and they're crap too. So, who's to say who deserves what, whatever. I just say, hey, if he wants to get back into it, this is how I think he can improve. So let's talk about his Burberry ad campaign here. This is the one he caught probably the biggest backlash. He was 16 years old. I'm going to pull up some of the images here. This shot right here, I think if you look at some of these images right away, you'll see like, all right, he's not so bad. I mean, at 16, does he deserve a Burberry ad campaign? I'm sure he had an art director and another set of eyes there to kind of help him. The models are already doing a good job on their own, but the light's nice, the framing's decent. It's not my style of fashion photography. I like fashion photography a little more like editorial, a little more pulled back, but it's Burberry. They know better than I do. This is what they wanted. And I'm sure there was a bit of PR there, or a lot of PR there. I mean, this kid with his parents and a huge following, sure, it was smart of them. It was clever. And that's the world we live in. And also, I know a lot of pro photographers that would shoot ad campaigns and it would end up just like this as well. So I think if you are jealous of him doing this, then work harder, be better. And you might not still get the opportunities because you don't have famous parents, but again, like I said, that's the world we live in. So rather than complain about it, just move forward, get better. So, I'll look at this image and I'm not going to say like, oh my God, he's terrible. This kid's awful. It's not bad, I don't love the crop there of the top of the head off. I don't know if that was a crop by him. This next image, similar toning. It looks like a lot of the work was done, a little bit in the toning. The light's decent, not a lot in the background I'm interested in. Is it amazing? No. Would I have been able to shoot this well my first year in photography? I started later than him too, so I was like more mature or possibly more mature. I started in my late 20s. My first year in photography, no, I wouldn't have done as good of a job. I mean, maybe if I had a good lighting assistant and someone coaching me, which I don't 100% know if he did or not, I still don't know if I would have, to be honest. Again, I don't want people seeing the images that I shot in the first few years of my career, and I'm glad they didn't. And that's usually the way it works. I understand, he got that opportunity to be out there, so he has to, people say, oh, he has to accept backlash. But I don't know. I think I'm nicer than that. I don't feel that way. I think a lot of times in photography, organically, your work will be seen when it's ready to seen, and then when you add celebrities, sure, everything's thrown off a bit. It's out there right away. It's going to be ridiculed right away by people, and people are going to be jealous, and I say that's fine, but I don't really think it's fine. I don't really think it's cool to just sort of tear it apart. So I would say if I was his coach, as a fashion shoot, I'd say it went over pretty well. Decent lighting, decent expression. The models are okay. For someone that age, it's a really good start. Again, I don't like this type of fashion photography. I would like something a little bit more pulled back. I'd like the light to be a little more interesting. Their expression, their interaction, maybe something a little bit more there, but again, you're doing a commercial ad campaign. He's being coached, yeah, but he's also probably being said, this is kind of what they're looking for. So moving on to a different campaign that I found online that he did. This was for BMW. Again, I don't know the background of this, how much time he was given to do this. I would say as a photographer, if he wanted to do these self-portraits, I believe this was shot with a Hasselblad camera, and he's shooting a brand new BMW. And, this series, I would say, is a lot weaker. I'd say doing self-portraits, it looks like they just kind of shot and didn't think a lot. And, I kind of would blame the art director there a bit, and I would maybe blame him, as a young photographer. I'm not going to be harsh, but I would say, composition's not great. Doesn't look like a lot of thought went into it. Looked like he drove the car around, stopped, and, used his remote trigger there and just fired away without really thinking much about it. And I would say if I were him and he really cared about the photography, again, I don't know, but I'm just going to play it as if I was his coach. If he really cared about making these images nicer, put yourself in a position to make interesting compositions. So weigh it out first. Even though he was doing self-portraits and they wanted to have that remote trigger in there, I don't know why they did that and, why he has to be in the shots. But he could do a better job for self-portraits. I mean, look, if you look at the top left here, I would say that's maybe the strongest out of all of them from a composition standpoint. Midday light, I don't know why they chose to shoot in that horrible light. The back layer of the windmills there, fine, it's okay, the mountains, but the light's terrible. If you look at this image here, just from a composition standpoint, it just looks a little lazy. It looks lazy from the art director. It looks like they just kind of let him do his thing. And I don't know what that thing was. It's just, again, bad light. All these are shot in bad light. It looks like it was done over the course of a few minutes. His head gets the composition here with his head popping out here. You don't see the car much. So, I understand this is meant to be like him and the car, and that's sort of the idea to it, but it doesn't mean it can't be done better than that. And even self-portraits, it can be done better than that. So the first thing I would say is just better light. Pay attention to light. Even if he's the talent in it and the photographer, I would say still push for it. Push for good light, push for your own vision, push for interesting composition, spend time with it. Again, this looks like it could have been done over the course of after everything was set up, it looks like he shot for 5 minutes. And just kind of wasn't a lot of thought put into it. So I would say overall, the Burberry ad campaign is much more of a success. I don't think it shows any distinct style, but technically it was executed okay. I would say this, technically not great, stylistically not great. And again, to be fair to this kid, I don't know what they're doing there. I don't know if I don't know what the art director's telling him. I don't know if they're actually giving him the space to be creative how he wants to do it. But I would tell him, that's important. If you're going to put your work out, they're going to have your name attached to it. Anything I do, I don't care if it's a short amount of time. I've had situations where I've been given a camera and, it's going to be an ad campaign when I was doing work with Canon, and they would say okay, we're going to have 24 hours and these images are going to be published, or you're going to be in a commercial. I still want those done right. Even though they're filming me and I'm using the camera, I still want to create time and make nice images because my name's going to be attached to it. So no matter what, big shoot, small shoot, or even no one's looking, I'm going to see it at the end. So put your best effort into it no matter what. Put some time aside to like plan, think about the light, make that a priority. Again, if your name's being attached to it as a photographer, whatever that is, celebrity photographer or not, put your best effort into it. Plan accordingly. And it just doesn't look like this one was planned that well. So now we'll move on to his personal work. He caught a lot of flack for this as well. This is a book about his life. I mean, you have to also consider it like this isn't going down in like the art museum for photography. It's, they published this book because he has that huge following. People are interested in his life. So he's kind of documenting his daily life as Brooklyn Beckham. So this is kind of where he ventures into his documentary work. As you can see, he looks like he's using a Leica M there. He documents himself, a lot of self-portraits through windows. Not a ton out there online. There's a little bit out there. It looks like he's documenting his parents and his siblings. If I take this image, it looks a little bit like a snapshot. I'd say of all the images from his book that I'm going to feature here, just a few of them, the mood to it's okay. Again, 16 years old or 17 years old when he took this. I don't know, around that age, a couple years into photography. It's okay, This shot here, I would love to see some more emotion. If I was telling him to do if he was doing a story like this and he wanted to document his life or his family's life or whatever that perspective, he's kind of doing what Jeff Bridges did. He's photographing what he knows. Jeff Bridges photographing his life as an actor on movie sets, bringing you into that world. His life, documenting his parents, who are very interesting people. They live an interesting life. They live that celebrity life. I would say to focus on that. What does that look like? And how can he incorporate slivers of that into his life? Maybe it's the paparazzi, or maybe it's just like how cool his mom and dad are. I don't know, or portraits of them. So here, I'd love to see some more emotion in his shots, the face. Again, it's okay. I'm not going to be harsh. So if you came here for me to be harsh, you're not going to get that. I'd love a little bit of emotion there. I'd like to see his dad's face or his sister's face, something like that. Here's just him sort of taking a selfie. I prefer to see a picture that he shot with that Leica than what he shot there, which looks like maybe with his phone. This is the image he caught a ton of shit for, and yeah, I get it. Like this looks like they were maybe somewhere in Kenya, maybe at an elephant orphanage. I've been to places like this. There's a lot of great opportunities. Again, bad light, so I'm going to tell him, like, hey, even though you're going with your parents, you're into photography, push them to go there during good light. Not a wonderful shot of the elephant. I've shot a lot of elephants, but again, I've been doing this a lot longer. So not great. Looks like a couple other snapshots of his friends and things like that. Also, quickly to talk about the gear that he uses, it looks like his father bought him a Pentax film camera when he was 15. I've seen him in a bunch of shoots on this Burberry shoot and then some of his own personal work. I see a couple different Leicas in his shots. And then I've also seen him use the Hasselblad medium format, the 503 in the BMW ad campaign. So that's the gear that he uses. Looks like he's shooting a lot of film. Now, overall, what I would say about this kid and what I see is I see a young man that got started in photography quite young, was rewarded or given opportunities quite young, and never had the chance to really discover who he is as a photographer, to find out what his passion is, what he likes to shoot, and how he likes to shoot it. And that's a shame. What I would encourage him to do moving forward, if he ever wanted to get back into photography, I know it's hard for that generation. I know it's a different world, but I would say don't share it so instantly. Don't be so insta with your world. Don't need to get out there right away. Find a project, work on that project. Hire a coach that's not just like doing it because of the money or doing it because you're famous. Hire a coach that's going to push you, help you discover who you are as a photographer, that's going to hold you accountable for bad pictures, hold you accountable when you didn't push yourself to get out there to get access to things or to push yourself to get better pictures. Like same thing I do with my one-on-one students. They come back and the light's good, composition's okay, but they miss the moment, I send them back. Or if I feel like the story needs more to pull it all together, I send them back. So I would say for him, he's in a unique opportunity. He's going to have a lot of doors open to him, access to things that your average person wouldn't. Figure out what you're interested in. Go explore what you're interested in. Find something you're passionate about. Put the time in. Put the work in. And geez, he's only 23 right now, so he's plenty of opportunity. I didn't start till my late 20s. And again, I know these images aren't great if you judge them based on the client, BMW and Burberry, and having your own book. He took that opportunity, and I don't blame him for doing it. But I tell you what, it's not bad for a 16-year-old kid. Not bad at all. I mean, if you look at my work from my late 20s when I first started, I'd say it's similar, if not worse. So, again, I see a photographer that maybe quit because, I don't know personally. It'd be a shame if he quit because of all the backlash, and he quit because he was ridiculed, doesn't think he has talent. Because it's not about talent. It's just about putting the work in, putting the time in, being accountable, going back out there, shooting more. It's a grind. Not everyone has the energy for the grind, famous or not. Not everyone has that to be a professional photographer. if he really wants to do it and get back into it, that's how I would approach it. I'd find a project, find an editor that's going to hold him accountable, find a coach that's going to hold him accountable, go out there and shoot, and don't share everything right away. Don't you share it until it's done. Don't share your project until you feel good about it, you know? People aren't just sharing their movie like while they're filming it or before it's edited. You know, you're waiting till it's finished. You're editing it, and then you're putting it out there in the world. I know, a different generation, but that's what I would do. That is the work of Brooklyn Beckham. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know it's a little bit different, but I just wanted to have that cautionary tale because I do see a lot of this in our community, a lot of bullying, whether you're young or old or just new into photography, and whether it's at a large scale like he is as a celebrity or even a small scale on Facebook groups or photography clubs and things like that. Be a little bit nicer, be a little more constructive, be a little more helpful, give people time to grow. Don't be so harsh. And that was the point of this episode. That's why I did it. So let me know who you want me to feature next in my series of Celebrity Photographer Critique. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to have a wonderful day.